is exposed. Oh, y'all thought the offensive line sabotage was bad before. Wait until you get a load of this footage. We got former Cleveland Brown players calling out Cam Robinson's sabotage. TJ Ward calling him out. We got a bunch of people calling him out. G. Bush airing him out on UCSS. Fans killing him on Twitter. We got the footage of this dude attempting to sabotage Shedeur Sanders during the Pittsburgh Steelers game and causing...
The Cleveland Browns is hiding this from you. And trust me, it's wild. Imagine a guy, a lineman, thinking he's slick, only to get exposed in the most brutal way possible. Cam Robinson just hit peak instant regret after trying to sabotage Shedeur Sanders, and let's just say karma didn't wait. Phones were dropped, jaws hit the floor, and teammates were side-eyeing him like he just admitted to stealing lunch money. You won't believe how messy this got.
Browns has signed a new offensive lineman after this past weekend stunt by offensive lineman Cam Robinson. You know, it's the last game of the season. Jimmy Haslam is wasting no time shifting his focus to the offensive line department. Now, me, myself, and many others has been pretty vocal about the Browns fixing this offensive line situation. See, everybody keep talking about the quarterback play, but the quarterback play does play a reason why their season went the way it went. But first and foremost, it starts with the offensive line.
There's a reason the Cleveland Browns have stayed quiet on this, and it's not because they're trying to protect anyone. It's because they probably don't want the truth to hit the fan the way it should. After all, one moment, one play, and suddenly Cam Robinson went from lineman to liability in the blink of an eye.
Take a look at this footage. Take a look-see. I'm going to blow it up for you nice and good. Take a look at Cam Robinson. Bottom of the screen. Bottom of the screen on the offensive line. Look at this. Bro, are you serious? Are you serious? You're giving him a straight line to Shedeur Sanders like that? He barely touched you. He barely nudged you out of the way. Look at this. Look at this stuff, man.
You could almost hear the collective gasp across Ohio when that snap happened, when the play collapsed faster than a cheap card house, and Shedeur Sanders, already under pressure just being a young quarterback trying to make sense of an NFL pocket, found himself staring down the kind of chaos that would make most adults reconsider even leaving their couch for the grocery store.
Sanders, I am going A-. A-, and I was so happy for Shedeur Sanders because he now has a signature win over Aaron Bleepin Rodgers and a Pittsburgh Steelers team that had caught fire on both sides of the ball and won their last 3 games.
Yeah, they were playing good.
And I want to drive home the point that Shedeur Sanders is facing and up against the highest degree of difficulty in the National Football League at quarterback.
There's a certain audacity in failing so spectacularly in a role that is literally defined by protection, by holding the line, by being the human wall that allows your quarterback to throw passes without contemplating life insurance. But Cam managed to reach levels of failure that probably need their own highlight reel, and the regret hit him harder than any sack ever could, although it was technically Shedeur that was getting flattened.
Sanders is not given enough time to go Brady mode. How we gonna get to see a Brady mode? I just gotta keep it real. Shedeur Sanders looked like he's running for his life every single damn week. Now, Kevin Stefanski was asked questions earlier today about his future in Cleveland. Once again, he shied away from the questions. They asked Jerry Jeudy about it, and they asked Shedeur about Kevin Stefanski's future. And I'm here to tell you, neither one of them wanted to talk about it, which is the right thing to do.
Shedeur, the quarterback, did what quarterbacks are supposed to do. He trusted the pocket, he did his reads, he made the decisions that young quarterbacks practice for years under the watchful eyes of coaches in film rooms, but the foundation beneath him, the very wall that was supposed to give him a fraction of security, crumbled with a lethargy that made you wonder if Cam Robinson thought he was auditioning for a slow-motion stunt reel instead of playing professional football. It wasn't a single moment of misfortune. It was a pattern, a recurring showcase of ineptitude, where every false start, every missed block, every sack allowed piled on like bad karma gathering interest. And Shedeur kept standing there, calm, composed, but probably thinking, at some point, someone has to pay for this, and it's definitely not going to be me. It's hard to overstate how much trust is involved in quarterback play, especially when you're young and still learning, because a quarterback can read defenses, make the right calls, and lead with poise. But if the person in front of him can't even slow a rusher down, if they can't hold the line long enough for a play to develop, then all that skill, All that training goes out the window in a hurry, and a lineman who looked like he was on a scenic stroll instead of protecting the most important player on the field.
I want faith in Shedeur, and I felt better about Shedeur yesterday, even with the 2 picks, than I felt about Shedeur in a while, because I don't need to see a bunch of great big bombs that gets Twitter going. I need to see them move the offense, and I still saw them move the offense. Even with the checkdowns and all the other things, I saw a guy making the right decision for his football team. There's so many times where these guys are not put in a position to succeed. When you have to talk about wristbands and whether or not the right plays are on the wristband, that's not a position to succeed.
And it only got worse as the game went on. You could see the momentum building for the Browns, and then just as quickly being murdered before it could take off, every drive feeling longer than the last, every snap a gamble with Shedeur's health and confidence, all because Cam Robinson couldn't put together the basics that are expected at this level. The audacity of underperforming this badly is something that demands attention, and the fans noticed immediately, because when the guy supposed to protect your quarterback looks like he's actively helping the opposing defense, people don't sit quietly. They post, they tweet, they shake their heads, and they wonder how someone can make a living in the NFL while simultaneously looking like a human speed bump designed for maximum failure. Because the contrast is stark, glaring, and impossible to ignore. One player putting in effort, showing discipline, maintaining awareness, and the other, well, you could almost hear the slow-mo soundtrack to his mistakes playing over the footage as defenders breezed past him like he wasn't even there.
Fixing this offensive line situation. See, everybody keep talking about the quarterback play, but the quarterback play does play a reason why their season went the way it went. But first and foremost, it starts with the offensive line. If Shedeur Sanders is not given enough time to go Brady mode, how we gonna get to see a Brady mode? I just gotta keep it real. Shedeur Sanders looked like he's running for his life every single damn week. Now, Kevin Stefanski was asked questions earlier today.
Fans and experts alike noticed, and the chorus of criticism wasn't coming from some random corner of the internet. It came from people who actually played the game, who won at the highest level, who know what an offensive line is supposed to do. When a former Browns player, a Super Bowl champion, a Pro Bowler points at your left tackle and says, "Yeah, I think I could do better with a helmet and some pads," that's not trolling, that's brutal honesty. And it stings because it's the truth. Cam Robinson didn't just have a bad game. He had a performance that called into question whether he was ever fully engaged, ever aware of the role he was supposed to play, ever concerned with what happens to the quarterback relying on him. The chatter online, the outrage, the disbelief, it all amplified the story. Cam Robinson is the worst football player I've ever seen, some said, and while you might think that's hyperbole, when you watch the snaps, when you see the left tackle spot completely unguarded over and over, when you see defenders charging in like it's an open gym session, it becomes very hard to argue.
If we want to see Shedeur Sanders be his best, you got to commit to him. You got to get coaches that are going to coach him up. You got to get an offense that he's comfortable in, and you got to have a whole offseason committed to him coming to training camp to try and not only win the job, be the QB1. There has to be a commitment.
Good. He's not put in a position to succeed. Neither was Dylan Gabriel. Neither was Joe Flacco. Neither would have been Kenny Pickett. Neither was a lot of quarterbacks. Neither was Dorian Thompson.
The frustration is real, and it's growing, because this isn't one play, one bad game. This is a recurring pattern where effort, focus, and basic awareness seem to have disappeared, leaving Shedeur and the offense to clean up the chaos. The beauty of this, if you can call it that, is in the contrast, because Shedeur shows poise and leadership while Cam is fumbling through assignments like he's playing charades instead of football. Every snap is a reminder of how critical protection is, because no quarterback, no matter how talented, can survive long when the line in front of him is a revolving door for defenders. Shedeur doesn't panic, he doesn't falter, he doesn't give up, he just keeps moving, keeps reading, keeps throwing, keeps competing, and that's what makes Cam Robinson's failures look even more egregious. The narrative writes itself. One man rising, one man failing spectacularly, and the fans, the tape, the experts, all watching in disbelief. And the pattern is clear. You can see it in the tape, in the replays, in every drive that falls apart before it can even develop. You can see it in the frustration of teammates, in the exasperation of coaches, in the general disbelief of anyone watching the game unfold. It's not a single moment of chaos, it's a series of moments that add up to a performance that belongs in a blooper reel, not an NFL playbook.
By and large, Andy, I've been impressed with the kid. I really have. I think he's grown into a better player at this point than I thought back in August or September that he was capable of being. So, kudos to him.
Yeah, I mean, look, he doesn't sound like your typical quarterback, but he sounds like a rookie. Like when I listen to him after the game and I watch him
when
play.
You cut through it all, I know what you're saying.
He's a rookie, and it doesn't matter what his last name is or where he is. And to me, because he's a rookie, that excites.
Meanwhile, Shedeur is doing everything he can to maintain composure, to lead, to show confidence, to build rhythm despite the chaos. And yet every failed snap, every collapse of the pocket, every defender running free reinforces the narrative. Cam Robinson cannot be trusted. Football is a game of trust, and when the lineman on the left tackle position, the person whose very job is to make sure the quarterback survives, fails to even put up resistance, trust is gone, and it's not coming back until effort, awareness, and discipline return. Watching Shedeur take hits, trying to keep the offense moving, trying to execute plays while the foundation collapses beneath him, you realize that no amount of talent on the quarterback's part can compensate for the deficiencies in protection. And this isn't just anecdotal. Cam Robinson looks disconnected, outmatched, and overwhelmed, while Shedeur is standing tall, maintaining poise, and doing everything he can to prevent disaster, and yet somehow the entire narrative keeps circling back to the same unavoidable conclusion. This offensive line is failing spectacularly, and Cam Robinson is at the center of it.
Is he unplayable?
No.
Is he?
Oh, my God.
And
no.
that's the exact point. I think for a lot of Browns fans out there,
he fits right in.
You can't say he's unplayable. I can't say he's going to take off and have this tremendous future, but I don't think he's unplayable. So he's not your typical fifth-round guy. I think we've all established that. And then you look at where you're drafting going, do I really want to go up there when I do have all these other needs? Like, this is a tougher conversation than what we've had.
And it gets worse when you think about the stakes, because the Browns aren't just playing games for fun. Wins, losses, development, confidence, rhythm, future success, all of it is on the line. And if protection doesn't improve, if accountability isn't enforced, if effort doesn't show up, the results are going to reflect the failures of the line. Draft picks and resumes might look nice on paper, but games are won in the trenches. And if the trenches are crumbling, then no amount of quarterback heroics will save you. Shedeur is showing everything a young quarterback should: toughness, poise, leadership, willingness to compete. And yet the foundation in front of him is a mess, and Cam Robinson is the poster child for that failure. And make no mistake, it's pattern behavior. It's repeated evidence that one weak link can drag an entire offense down, and that weak link has a name and a face, and it's the left tackle. Shedeur is forced to improvise, forced to throw early, forced to move before he wants to, forced to survive, and that's not how development happens, that's not how rhythm is built, and that's not how wins are achieved.
Very consistent theme here. He's shown flashes. I like the toughness. I like the heart. He does seem to have sparked this team. And even though wins and losses aren't the biggest way you're going to go ahead and evaluate somebody, he's got twice as many wins as anybody else does on this for the quarterbacks on this roster this year. So you are seeing things. And I think that there's a false narrative out there that in 7 games, Shedeur was going to look like the whole team was going to come alive.
And then there's the commentary, because if you thought the fans were harsh, wait until you hear what the former Browns players have to say, the people who won at the highest level, who made Pro Bowls, who know exactly what an offensive line should look like. You could play better, one said, and the visual of that statement sinks in like a knife because it's true. Watching the left tackle spot, watching defenders run free, watching the quarterback forced to be a superhero every snap, you realize that this is one of those situations where effort, focus, and accountability are not optional, and Cam Robinson's repeated failures make it painfully clear that this team cannot succeed with him as the cornerstone of protection. The quarterback can only do so much, and when the foundation collapses repeatedly, that's where losses happen. That's where interceptions come from, that's where frustration builds, and that's where instant regret hits Cam Robinson, because the blame is impossible to avoid. The tape doesn't lie, the fans don't lie, and neither do the experts.
All of these little things can be corrected. All of these things can make him your franchise quarterback. But it's are you going to put him? Is Kevin the right guy to lead him?
That's
like, and I'm watching this, and I'm watching this through 6 games, and I know they're like, if you when I listen to folks, there are people that love Shedeur and hate Kevin. And it's like everything that's wrong with Shedeur is Kevin's fault.
It's such nonsense.
It's just,
I know.
This isn't hyperbole. This isn't exaggeration. This isn't a bad game or a rough drive. This is repeated, undeniable evidence of what happens when protection fails and accountability is missing. And it all comes back to one lineman failing in the most critical moments, showing a lack of effort, awareness, and basic competency. The Browns can't move forward with this level of performance, and the next season becomes a make or break, because if improvement isn't real, visible, and immediate, then the narrative isn't just going to continue, it's going to escalate, and Cam Robinson will remain the center of it, a cautionary tale of what happens when one weak link sabotages an entire offense. A reminder of why protection is non-negotiable, and why trust, once lost, doesn't come back easily. The future of the Browns, the confidence of Shedeur, and the trajectory of the offense all hinge on changes up front. Because if mistakes like this continue, if effort like this remains absent, then the results, like the chaos on the field, will be unavoidable, undeniable, and ultimately hilarious to everyone except the person being exposed, who is learning regret the hard way.
So sick of I see it on social media every single day. Like, everybody finds a different stat to poke a hole in Shedeur. Like, how many people post, oh, well, Shedeur just holds on to the ball too long, and he continues to do that. It's like, that is the most glaring, dumb stat that I've ever seen, which I feel like before this year, there is not a single Browns fan that looked at their quarterback and goes, how long does he hold on to the football? Well, I don't know. When he's... Like, can we put context into it? Can there be context to that stat as well? Because, yes, him and Caleb Williams hold on to the ball more than anybody in football right now. It's like an average of 3.2 seconds.
And so the story continues, because the footage exists, the fans are watching, the tape doesn't lie, the experts agree, and Shedeur Sanders continues to prove that poise, leadership, and determination can coexist with chaos, while Cam Robinson continues to provide endless material for highlight reels, social media outrage, and conversations about accountability, protection, and how not to play left tackle, proving without a shadow of doubt that instant regret is real, and it hits harder than any sack ever could. And the irony is delicious, because while Shedeur is out there building confidence, showing grit, and doing everything he can to make plays happen, Cam Robinson is giving defenders free rein, like he's the welcoming committee for chaos, and every snap becomes a countdown to disaster. Fans aren't just frustrated, they're entertained in the most exasperated way possible, watching someone fail so consistently that it almost becomes a spectacle, a lesson in what happens when effort, awareness, and accountability decide to take a permanent vacation, leaving a quarterback to survive the storm on sheer talent alone.